Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to discuss a little bit of how I balance homeschool while also taking care of a baby or a toddler or both in some cases. And so I think something different works for everybody. What works for me might not work for you. And there's a lot that comes into play there, but I'm just gonna kind of share what I have done in trying to juggle that, because it's not easy. It's not easy trying to homeschool and focus on the school age kids when you also have kids that aren't yet in school that you need to focus on as well. So my youngest daughter now is 2.5, almost 2.5, I can't believe that. And when she was born, my oldest was in kindergarten. And so having a newborn, having a newborn is always a lot of work and trying to, do school when you have a newborn. But the nice thing is about a newborn is that they do sleep a lot and eat a lot. But I would just carry her all the time. Like in my carrier, I would just have my wrap on when she was little, and she would just spend a lot of time in the carrier so that I could use both of my hands to focus on the other kids. I did want to mention I haven't had the experience of having a baby as I'm trying to work on multiple kids in school, or my oldest being in like grade 6 or grade 4 or anything higher like that, or even grade 2, because like I said, my youngest was born when my oldest was in only kindergarten, so school wasn't nearly as intensive at that point. Kindergarten is quite relaxed, but still I was homeschooling as I had a newborn. Once my daughter got to be at a stage where she was taking more regular naps, I remember doing this as well with my second to youngest child when my son was in his junior kindergarten year. I would always work around nap time. So when my baby would go for the morning nap, usually my babies went for a morning nap between 9 and 9:30, and when they went down for their nap, that's when I would start school. And we would work on our schoolwork for probably about an hour, and that was just perfect because the baby was napping during that time and I could really just focus on getting school done. So obviously once your kids are doing school for more than an hour a day, that doesn't really help as much anymore, but I would still work on maybe doing the more intensive schoolwork, maybe the schoolwork where they really need your help during the time while baby is napping, if you can, because that works really well. Now, toddlers. Oh my goodness, that's a different story. I find it can be so tricky when you have toddlers at the same time as you are trying to homeschool. I think I find the ages, especially, I want to say 9 months up to about age 2, to be really difficult to try to juggle it all. And I don't have all the answers. I am definitely trying to get a grasp on this. Now that my daughter's 2.5, honestly, it's a little bit better, I would say, because she can be more distracted for a longer period of time and kind of be more involved with what we're doing. But yeah, that stage can be really hard, and like I said, I'm still trying to figure this out. And some days are great and I feel like I've got this together, and other days I'm like, okay, what do I need to change because this is not working? One thing I do now that my youngest is, like I said, 2.5, and then I have a son who is 4 as well and is not involved in a lot of our schoolwork. He is junior kindergarten, but still kind of preschool, and so he's really not involved in most of our school day. But I do like to involve them in our group work. So when we are at the table all doing something together, I definitely try to include them at that point. And so, for instance, we'll do our Bible story, and the kids each have a little coloring page, and so I include the little ones in that, and they can do their coloring as well. And when we're doing our read aloud, of course, they're involved in that. When we are doing history or subjects that I am reading aloud, I invite the little ones to come sit at the table too, because they just want to feel like they are a part of it. And so if I can include them in that group work, it makes it a little bit easier to send them away when we really need to focus on some book work. So this may just be my kids having a hard time focusing, but my 2 oldest, who are kindergarten and grade 2, have a hard time focusing if the little kids are at the table doing something really fun. So if I bring out Play-Doh for the little ones to do at the table, my oldest will have a really hard time focusing on his math while they're doing that. Or if my younger ones are like coloring pictures and doing something like that looks like a lot of fun, my oldest ones will have a hard time really focusing on their book work. And so oftentimes when it is like math time or writing time, I need to send the younger ones away because it's just too much when they're all at the table doing different things and they just have a hard time focusing, which I know has to be learned as well, but I will usually send the younger ones away. And I have a lot of things that they can do. So I have a cupboard where I have just a lot of stuff that I just take out at certain times for them. I have a big bucket of Duplo. We have a box of magnetic blocks. We have a lot of like Melissa and Doug puzzles and like bead things. We have like these shapes where you can put the shapes on a magnetic board and make patterns. Like the list goes on. We just have a lot of things like that that are not out for the kids all the time, but sometimes I'll take something like that out and say, here, why don't you guys play with this while the kids are doing schoolwork? And they know that those are just special things that they get to do basically while the other ones are doing school, and it's like their activity for that time. I've shared with you before that we also have tracing books where the kids can trace letters or they can trace different shapes and just learning that pencil control. And that's a good thing for them to do at the table as well because it's book work as well. So they really feel like they are doing school as well as the big kids. If the little ones are too distracting or if they're having a really hard time, I will turn on Letter Factory for them, and I feel like that's just a good educational activity for them to do. But then it really just keeps them quiet and it gives me half an hour. Like if they're having a hard time or if I really just need to be helping the older ones with something and the little ones just are wanting something and just wanting my attention, I'll say, okay, let's watch Letter Factory. And I know I just it's nice to have something timed like that where I know, okay, 30 minutes. I have 30 minutes to really not be distracted by them, and sometimes that is necessary. Another thing I've come to learn about kids, my kids, I think kids in general, is that they just need quality time. Just like we do with the people we love, they need that quality time too. And so sometimes if I haven't really spent quality time, it's just been like, okay, breakfast, chores, on to school, kids, go play, go play. They want quality time. They want time with mommy, which is totally understandable. And so sometimes if I can get that quality time with the kids, with the little ones first, then their love tank is full and they can go play and they don't feel like they need to be with mommy as much. So that could be me reading some books to them first thing in the morning before school, or just getting down on the floor and playing with them and then saying, okay, now you're gonna do this while I go help the big kids. Or it just kind of helps them feel like they're important too, because I really don't want my little ones to feel like they're being left out because the older ones are doing school. And I know it's just kind of what happens, different stages of life, different birth order for sure, it changes. But I do want to spend that quality time with them as well. And if all else fails, snacks. We always have snacks halfway through our school morning. And so if need be, I can push that snack time a little bit earlier if they are really needing something to distract them. And so that's a few things that we do. I can't think of anything else really to share. That's kind of what came to mind of what we do to keep the babies and toddlers busy. Like I said, it's hard. I don't have it all together. When people ask me, and I've gotten a few questions on my videos, like how do you do it? How do you like juggle the baby toddler stage as well as school stage? I just kind of laugh because I'm like, honestly, I don't have all the answers. I will tell you some things that work sometimes for us. But then some days, like I said, I'm like, okay, what can we change? Because this is not working. I felt like we got no school done and the little kids weren't happy. And yeah, it doesn't always go smooth. But let me know down in the comments below what works for you guys and if you have found anything that really works for balancing that. And if you have any other homeschool questions for me as well, I'd be happy to answer those. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you subscribe if you want to see more of my content. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!